The Cool Check-In.
Together with Jalen Jacoby, what is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
Jalen,
Yes.
gentleman by the name of Nikola Jokic had a slow start to the season. He had a slow start to the season. So you know what? I put it on wax. I challenged him. I asked if this was your king. And you know what? He heard. He's like, oh, people starting to notice that I'm a little out of shape. People starting to notice that I haven't scored 20 points in 5 games in a row. Well, did you see what he did yesterday? Did you see what the stretch mark 5 did yesterday? 47 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And here's what's most impressive because they'd run the offense through him. 0 turnovers. 47 points and 0 turnovers. I don't think I played 90 seconds of basketball without turning the ball over.
Because he's going to try one of your behind-the-back passes.
Exactly.
He decided he wasn't going to do it yesterday.
What did you think about Jokic's big night?
So you joked about his weight, but that's real spill. And the thing that is a difference now for him, you could tell by the arc on his jump shot. Usually a guy that's his height, unless it's Dirk, doesn't have high arc on his shot as well.
He does.
Okay, he got a raindrop. That thing come down like
the net doesn't move.
Correct.
The net doesn't move when he hits threes.
Like an icicle.
Yeah.
And so now that he's in shape, he can cock that thing back and shoot it with confidence and let it flow. And the Hawks, they don't play defense anyway.
No.
But they decided they were gonna let him shoot. They were gonna live with the results.
And they did.
And so now all of a sudden we got one of the best centers and players in the league catching his rhythm and having 47
Finally
points.
playing like it. Because this is the Jokic that we all thought was going to be an MVP candidate. Like, this is the Jokic that we saw in the playoffs last year. People might forget because the Nuggets didn't, make the finals or advance that far. Yo, he dominated in the playoffs. But take me behind the curtain on this. It's not like Jokic didn't play basketball this summer. He played basketball all summer. So why are we just now in the year 2020 talking about him being in shape?
You ready for this? When I played ball and prior to my era, I'm born in 1973. I'm a lifer of the game. And older players will text me every time I say this, but it's a fact. There were times where they considered doing what I call working out. Okay? Sometimes based on the salaries back then, those guys had second jobs. The nutrition was different. Tobacco was a lot more embraced. Like, it was just a different world. Players nowadays are so very well conditioned. They train. It's 24/7, 365. So decades ago, you could play basketball constantly and it'll keep you in shape. Now playing basketball is only part of you being in shape.
Not enough.
It's not enough. And if you think of 12-month cycle for a lot of these guys that are fortunate enough to play for Team USA or play for their country and stuff like that, you have to let your body rest some. And so now you decompress after you're playing with your home country. You come to the United States and the Nuggets like, well, we about to start in a couple of weeks. And you're like, I need to rest. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going as hard as you're going to as the season progresses. This is one of the things I was talking about with Zion yesterday. When they say that they're practicing 5-on-5, you ain't really doing no hard 5-on-5 practices at this time of year because your best player, Ingram, just played 38 minutes the night before. So it's a lot different.
So with Jokic, is this the player that we'll see? Is this the player that we're going to see? Are we going to see the same Jokic from the playoffs last year for the rest of the season?
I'm not that easy. That's my king. I never wavered.
Oh, you never wavered once?
Get him, Joker.
You never wavered once?
Get him, step into it.
You remember things differently than the rest of us.
Heat check. Get him, Joker. On the post, one-on-one, no double, and one. You know what I'm saying? Look at board work. Using this height, keeping the ball up high, not celebrating. This is what I'm supposed to do. My game is back. And so, yes, I'm still on the bandwagon, all NBA style of the Joker, especially a guy that's going to shake hands and kiss babies.
Do you think that he looks better than me with his shirt off at this point in the season?
Now he got you.
He got me now. He got me now. He's been working out a little bit.
You ain't got a cut. He didn't, per se, but he looked better without a shirt.
Obviously, the focus is going to be on the potential All-NBA player with 47 points and 0 turnovers. But let's not sleep on some of the highlights that Trae Young has been providing us this season. And in this game last night, he had a couple like this one. Watch the Joker. Up between the legs to Len. Nice finish from Len, by the way. Look at that. Little between the legs action. And this one I like even more. This next one, just watch how many defenders he fools with this one. I'm going to do a little of that. I'm going to go, between my own legs. Like Jalen, what does that show you?
You nasty boy. You nasty. That the rules of the game have changed so players have more space to operate.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the game isn't as physical, so you could kind of do tricks like that without somebody hand checking you or pushing you down.
Yep.
And it also shows me that Trae Young is a master with the rock.
Oh, he is.
He got that thing on a string, on a yo-yo. And for his size and at his build, for him to be able to navigate in and out of traffic and still be under control that way he did, but then still be able to get up off the wrong leg, wrong hand, wrong foot. Like that's so much practice. That's so much discipline. That's a guy to be in the gym. And also, Will Barton ball for Denver too. But Trae Young also, he'll dribble past half court and raise up on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it ain't close to who's making more 30-foot shots in the league no more.
Well, we have other news in the NBA, Jalen Rose. The 76ers won a game. The 76ers won a game. They had not won a game since Christmas. Do you remember Christmas? When you were wearing all those different outfits? That was the last time they won a basketball game. Richardson had 23. Ben Simmons had 17 and 15 and 9. Or 17, 15, and 8. What do you think about the production that they got from Simmons last night?
The difference wasn't Simmons, it was Richardson. First thing you said, 23 points. You got to get some guard play, especially from the perimeter, out of he and Ben Simmons. I've said over the last year and a half, I really love Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid so much that if they were isolated and you were building teams around them, I think that would be the better construction for them individually. Because think about this. Joel Embiid is one of the most talented bigs in the game. You want him to stay near the basket, but he has the skills to drift. Ben Simmons is the tallest point guard in the game and is a great finisher in the paint and plays point guard, but he don't play outside of the paint offensively at all. So it's almost like their strengths in a half court don't necessarily complement one another. And so when you get points from Richardson, hopefully they start to get Al Horford more involved. When you get buckets from Tobias Harris, it now diversifies their offensive attack. Because to me, you're going to need those guys, Ben Simmons, to put up those numbers every night. But you're going to need Joel Embiid to put up more numbers every night if they're going to win.
Let's just check in on Joel Embiid in this one particular play. You know what I'm talking about. He goes, and it looks like someone comes down on him there. It's kind of funky, but then when you see the results of that, look at that finger, Jalen.
Ooh.
Now, anyone who played a lot of basketball has had this happen to them.
Yes.
And one thing, when that happened to me, I didn't play basketball for 2 months. He was out for like 3 minutes of game time and came back all taped up and played not bad. What do you think about the dislocated finger?
So first, for people that don't play sports, in particular professional sports, let's not downplay what you just saw. That ain't normal.
No, finger's not supposed to point that direction.
That's one of his digits. Now, for us that have been willing to sacrifice our bodies for the game that we love, it seems more like commonplace. So when I see his fingers like that, it reminds me of old school Bernard King. He used to buddy tape his hands. He used to jam his fingers all of the time. And so this is how we grew up playing the game. You would see that happen and people pop it back in.
Yep.
Ronnie Lott infamously basically had his finger removed during the game.
Kobe Bryant had a famous dislocation.
Yes. So it does happen, but I want to give Joel Embiid props because I see a more mature young man that's translating out on the floor this year. The ability to not only be productive, but his acceptance of criticism and his ability to embrace the expectations that they have.
Well, Brett Brown, before the game, talked about Ben Simmons and his shooting. Let's check in with the Sixers head coach.
And this is true. And so, evidently I have failed. And it's something that we're all mindful of. And this is one of these things that is never going to go away. The attention that this has received is remarkable, but I guess I help fuel it. And, I own it. Like, I got to help him, find this. And most importantly, he has to help himself.
How about the fact that Brett Brown coached Ben Simmons' father back in the day in Australia?
It's crazy.
Just think about how things come full circle. So I agree that we should accept Ben Simmons for the player that he is. I don't think that this is a coaching staff failure. Now, coincidentally, we having this conversation the day after Markelle Fultz, who couldn't make shots in Philadelphia, just had his career high 26 points, and he went and got his confidence back.
I think it was 25, but yeah.
He had to go somewhere else to get his confidence. It's one thing if he's not making shots outside of the paint. It's another thing if he's not attempting them.
Well, here's what I think Brett Brown alluded to this. Because I'm a mentally weak basketball player, right? And I'm not saying that that's Ben Simmons at all. But what I'm saying is, remember, Joel Embiid said something about it last week. Every time we talk about the Sixers, especially when they lose 4 games in a row, we talk about Ben Simmons shooting. And I think it's become sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy that he's overthinking it because we're over-discussing it. And it becomes like a vicious cycle of Ben Simmons can't shoot, Ben Simmons can't shoot. But they're going to end up playing great in the playoffs.
But that's what happens in sports because first off, your job is to hopefully get better at your craft and definitely practice on your weaknesses, no matter how many all-star appearances you have. That's what the great players hopefully did each offseason, came back with something different. And a lot of us cheered for Ben Simmons when he made a shot in the preseason from 3 because we thought that was going to be a trend.
And we'll see. You know what I miss? Where was that James Harden one-footed three-point shot from the summer?
What'd I tell you?
Where did that one go?
Where did
that one go? Now it's time.
Heat check.
For News That Matters. Jalen, we've shown on this program actual footage from the military of UFOs flying in our very own atmosphere. Well, now we have Britain's first astronaut, first person in space, happened to be a female, from Britain, said this. Aliens definitely exist, and it is possible they're here right now, and we simply can't see them. Jalen Rose, how many of these stories have to happen before you accept the fact that we are living amongst alien life forms?
So let me get this right. So you're saying that they're living amongst us right now?
Yes, right now.
Right now. So
right
what I need some 3D glasses?
Well, they might not be made of the same matter that we're made of.
Okay.
They might not exist physically the same way we do.
So you mean
or they might
the
be
microphone, the television?
Maybe.
It's the cushion?
Maybe.
Like, what is it?
Maybe.
I know where they are.
You need to open your mind.
I know where they are.
Where they at?
I know where they are.
Where they at?
They're getting seasick.
Oh, God.
I know where they are.
You
That's
can
what
turn
I'm saying.
any conversation into a conversation about your hairline. When we come back, Luca, coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Delicious Heinekens. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, you said that Zion Williamson shouldn't play this year. I disagreed. Well, maybe this will change your mind. He will now be engaged in 5-on-5 scrimmaging at practice, and here you have him just, catching some casual lobs. Jalen, it's like not even mid-January yet, and if he's playing 5-on-5, and he said himself that if it was up to him, he would already be out there, don't you think he should play this season?
Jacoby, he had surgery to his knee.
Yes.
Usually when that's happening, you're not able to maintain your conditioning. Zion already is the 3rd heaviest player in the league. The 2 people that weigh more than him are Boban and Taco Fall.
Not short human beings.
Both of these guys are 7-footers, and let me tell you some words that have never been attributed to them. Quick, fast, and athletic. Those are all things we expect Zion to be on his body frame. I'm rooting for him, but you know what I want him to do? Play a long time and make $250 million.
Sure.
What I don't want him to do is come back to a team that's going to the lottery and possibly get injured, and now all of a sudden it compromises his summer and going into the next season.
So you want him to get back in shape, basically, right?
I do.
Before he plays NBA basketball.
Of course.
How long do you think it's going to take? 2 months? He's got 2 months, so then he can still play NBA basketball this season, 2 months from now.
So we forget so many first-year players that for whatever reasons didn't play. Blake Griffin.
But they weren't doing this.
Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons.
They weren't doing this. They were hurt.
Michael Porter Jr.
They weren't playing 5-on-5 in practice.
What makes everybody feel like he ain't hurt?
Because he's playing 5-on-5 in practice and he's dunking.
Because he's a freak of an athlete. So is Vince Carter still dunking. He's been playing 35 years.
So
Zion going to be dunking when he's 80 years old.
Zion's going to play this season, and I'm going to get you to admit that you were wrong. That's what's going to happen.
So,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen in time, but it's going to happen.
So 2 things. I wouldn't be wrong if he played. I said if I was running the show, I would not play him. I would not be surprised if they put him out there for 10 games. Try to excite
Mr.
their fan
Anti-load
base.
management, Mr. I once played 83 games.
Correct.
Mr. If you're healthy, you should play.
Correct.
And then he's healthy.
Did he look healthy to you?
Yeah, he looked like very healthy.
Okay, so if you felt Jokic was out of shape based on the videos you saw, what do you think about Zion?
So Jokic got back in shape. I feel like Zion's doing exactly that.
Correct. And you were
He's
watching.
getting in shape.
You were watching.
How long does it take?
You were watching Jokic take contact. He's not taking contact
How
right
long
now.
is it going to take?
That's not a practice.
He's got 6 weeks to get in shape.
So let me tell everybody.
6 weeks.
We're using terms wrong. That ain't a practice. That's a workout.
Oh, that's a publicity stunt.
Correct.
That's a publicity
Correct.
stunt.
That's a warm-up.
Yeah.
That's a warm-up.
Well, we'll see.
I'm rooting for the young
I'm saying
man.
if he's doing that now, come mid-February, he'll be ready to play.
I want to cover Zion for 10 or 15 years. I don't want it to end early like what happened with Greg Oden. I want him to take his time and get 1,000% healthy before he plays.
Zion is a young star in the making. Luka Doncic is a young star right now.
Alvin will still have his job. Griffith still have his job. You still got to pay Ingram.
Luka Doncic had another 30-point triple-double. He had 38 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. Jalen.
Yes.
He has 11 triple-doubles this season, more than anybody else in the NBA. Yet, I don't feel like we celebrate him the way we should. Like, are we taking Luka Doncic's just magnificent play in his second year for granted?
I disagree. He's been celebrated. Now, he went from being a potential Western Conference All-Star coming into the season, depending on how well he played, because he was a fringe type of guy last year, to being must-see TV and unquestionable top 10 player.
Oh, yeah, no question about it.
So that elevation came because he got himself in better shape. He continued to improve his handle and his decision making. He always could knock it down from deep range, and now he's finishing at the hoop and playing through contact. We're not taking him for granted. Shouldn't take the Mavs for granted. From any day, they could be 6th seed in the West, depending on a win streak to number 2. They've now put themselves in the conversation.
Yeah, they could end up at 2 or 12, and I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, they could end up anywhere in there.
And shout out to Tim Hardaway, too. He balling.
Take a look at some of these numbers about these 30-point triple-doubles because, like, just to put it in perspective, look at that. 30-point triple-doubles under 22.
Where's Larry?
He ain't on there.
Under 22. Got it.
Under 22. 30-point triple-doubles under 22. Look at that. Those are some good company there, Mr.
There's
Rose.
some great company. And I'm not going to get into how much the rules have changed and why the game looks different. Because there will be a day you wake up and look at Kirk Cousins' numbers and compare them to Troy Aikman numbers and be like, man, he was dwarfing with his 4,000-yard passing seasons and all of that. So, but again, I want to give Luka and Rick Carlisle and their organization all of the credit. But you know who we ain't talking about that we need to talk about? They're going to go there?
Porzingis.
Correct.
Kristaps Porzingis. If you're going to tell me, remember I said they could be between 2 and 12? I know what Luka's going to give me now. Like, he's been very consistent this entire season. Kristaps Porzingis has been more up and down. So if they're going to be closer to 2, it's going to be because of KP. If they be closer to 12, it'll also likely be because of KP. Well, we talk about the Lakers all the time. We talk about Luka all the time. We talk about the Clippers and the big stars. But there's something happening that we need to discuss. The Jazz have won 11 of 12 games.
We got the Jazz.
And 6 straight.
And
Bojan Bogdanovic from the Pacers last year, picked up by the Jazz, 35 points. But not just that. 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, and 0 blocks. Jalen Rose, how is that possible? How is it even possible? And he's done this before.
So he's back in the league, so he don't have to be petty. So I'll do it for him. Carmelo Anthony should post this. All of the slander that he's taken for being a ball hog his entire career and not playing defense and being a ball stopper. Now that stat line right there.
You played with someone who had a very similar stat line once upon a time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
In a basketball game?
Mm-hmm.
What team?
The Indiana Pacers. Reginald Miller, one of the only others. How you tell me I didn't play in the NBA? How do you not get a rebound or an assist?
I'll tell you how.
How?
When you can shoot really good. And what
Just
ends up happening in the half court, we just running plays to try to get. He a Hall of Famer, dog.
Sure.
Single double this way, double
Doesn't
down
work.
on this
Go
side,
this side.
player on this side. So by the time he catch it, he open, he firing. If we did our job.
And there was a lot of discussion about the Jazz really making a run at the Western Conference this year. They've won 11 of 12s, and they're climbing. They're climbing in the conference up right around where the Clippers are. Could they host a first round game 1 of the playoffs?
So I said this into this microphone, and you know how we like to plant seeds about players. I want to plant another seed about a top flight talented team in the West. I'm worried about the Clippers seeding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about the Clippers seeding.
Mm-hmm.
Denver, Jazz, Houston, they all have legitimate chances to have records that are similar, if not
Clippers
better.
have 12 losses. 12 losses right now.
And now all of a sudden, you're getting the Lakers in the second round.
Jalen, a lot of rumors about where Tom Brady will play next season. I'll give you all of them right after this.
Patriots.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we have some breaking news when it comes to NFL head coaches. The Carolina Panthers, formerly head coached by Ron Rivera, are now being head coached by Baylor's Matt Rule. What do you think about this move from the Panthers?
I'm happy for Matt Rule because he's gone places and turned their programs around. You
Yes.
saw him do it at Temple. You see him doing it at Baylor. He has previous NFL experience. He's well respected in that league.
Yep.
It's not an accident that he was trying to get back into that league. I appreciate how he communicated with his players about the possibility of that happening. He didn't give cliche answers. He didn't downplay it. He didn't say, I'm going to be at Baylor forever. And let's look at what he's inherited. Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy has set the league on fire this year. He made it to where they can now continue to possibly build around him. The wild card here is, if I'm him, y'all got to keep Cam.
You got to keep Cam.
He got one more year left on his contract.
That one game in Green Bay when Kyle Allen looked like the next quarterback of the Panthers. It was one game, and then if you watch the games that followed that, he did not look like
Well,
the
I
future
told you, Kyle
of the
Allen
quarterback
and
position.
Minshew and Ryan Fitzpatrick, these guys got nicknames way too fast. But I'm going to tell you, just think about this. If you're the Panthers, Cam Newton is under contract another football season. You just bring in a new coach.
What's Kyle Allen's nickname?
You got to find a way to keep Cam Newton.
Well, you know who has a quarterback? Ravens. And do you know what? It is his 23rd birthday today. Jalen,
Big trust.
23rd birthday. Just take a second and look at some of his greatest hits from this season, because Jalen Rose, this man was unequivocally the MVP of the league, easily the most effective at his position, and he's only 23 years old. Like, are we going to have a Lamar Jackson reign over the NFL?
So let me paint some pictures for you guys.
Hey.
There's been a better passer this season at this age than Peyton Manning. There's been a better runner than Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham.
It's crazy.
Just think about that. Those players live in two different worlds. Peyton Manning was the sheriff, right behind center, spraying the football around the field is the memories that we have. That's what Lamar's been doing. And also out there running crazy, spinning, winning. And I'm going to tell you a pivotal point of the season.
What's that?
I'll never forget watching this game. Forgot who they were playing. They got an offensive penalty. And he was so frustrated with his offensive lineman. He slammed the ball, right? And I was watching like, yeah, this is when it get good. I swear I wouldn't make some popcorn and everything.
Yeah.
This is when it gets good. No particular sequence. Next play, boom, it was 3rd and 17. Ran for 15 yards, ran for the touchdown. Next drive through. I'm like, he got it.
He got it.
He got it. And so, very impressive what he's doing at any age for the guy who was the fifth quarterback taken in the first round. Shout out to Ozzie Newsome.
Well, he is
the greatest GMs to do it.
He's clearly emerging as the, if not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And there's someone who's sort of falling out of those ranks. That's a gentleman by the name of Tom Brady. After
y'all media types are just so mean.
Wait, you think Tom Brady is the top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now? Do you think that?
No.
Okay. So there you go.
Neither is Aaron Rodgers.
It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Saying Lamar Jackson going this way, Tom Brady going that way. That's the way it is.
Oh, that's like the Chris Paul commercial.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
As soon as I saw that with him and Steph Curry,
well, he said he wasn't going to retire. Okay. So that's unlikely.
Yes.
And he has now been linked via various rumors, some more substantial than others, to these following 6 teams.
Lions. Come on, Patricia.
The Chargers, the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Saints, and even the Browns, to name a few. Now, again, these are just rumors.
Don't do it.
If Tom Brady calls your phone, he's like, hey, listen, I went to Michigan. You went to Michigan. Wolverine to Wolverine. What do you think I should do? What would you advise Tom Brady to do next season?
Don't do it. Grass is not always greener. He's 42 years old. He's won 6 championships. He's become the GOAT. He was fortunate enough to play for a GOAT. Anytime you remove him from that situation, he packs his luggage and he puts his pads and his helmet into another locker room, it is not going to be the same.
The Raiders are involved. He could be linked up with McDaniels as a head coach and quarterback duo.
I'm showing my age here.
They could play Belichick.
I remember this happened with Joe Montana, and he went to KC.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember it working with Peyton Manning when he went to Denver.
Peyton Manning didn't exactly play great for Denver, but the defense did.
Going.
Yeah, but the defense did. Yeah.
Thank you. I just think that he's had an amazing Hall of Fame career. And I don't want people to now feel like he got exposed in any way, shape, or form because he's not able to duplicate the excellence that he's already put on tape all of these years.
Well, you mentioned him earlier, my man Gardner Minshew. Now, one of the reasons that he was celebrated this year is because he played well, no one knew who he was, and he also had a big personality.
He had a mustache.
And a mustache.
There you go.
And he wore cool clothes. And now, let's just take a look at what his offseason plans are.
Hello, Gardner Minshew here. After a long rookie year, I've decided to take a step back, recenter myself the only way I know how. Hopping in my brand new RV and touring this great country. So if you're anywhere between Jacksonville and LA, I want to hear from you. Places to see, anything for free, food to eat, people to meet. Hopefully I see y'all out there on the road. But until then, keep it rolling.
Jalen, I have a couple thoughts. Number one, the jorts, the jean shorts. That's just too much. And number two, were his eyes open? We got to check him for some medicinal. His eyes weren't even open.
Maybe that's a failed test.
His eyes weren't even open.
Maybe. So I like that he has a big personality.
Mm-hmm.
But just like we're going to give my mom all of the credit for my name, let's make sure we give his dad all of the credit for his name. He's a second and there isn't a first. Like that's classic
it's
right
true.
there.
It's true.
So that's where it started with his old dude. Okay.
Yeah. So have you seen his dad watching the games?
No.
Oh, it's great. Oh, intense.
Oh, really?
Sleeveless in the cold.
Yeah.
Intense. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him and Pat McAfee on that RV.
Yeah, they're about to be. They're about to be. Pat McAfee saw that video. It's like, anywhere you need, bro. I'll meet you anywhere you need to go. I got you. Moving on, it's time for Soft Move or Boss Move. International superstar, an extremely rich human being.
Thank you, Jacoby.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, okay.
Was headed to one of his Serie A games, and just want you to take a look at some of the technology. That's not a tie clip. That is a circa 2010 iPod Shuffle. I had one of these. They were the absolute worst. Soft Move or Boss Move using technology from 2010 when you are an international superstar, multimillionaire.
It's a boss move that he still has it working.
Do you have one of those?
No.
You had to connect it to your laptop, drag and drop songs over, and there was no.
I remember the white iPad.
Yeah, but there was no screen. You could look at the screens. You could see what you were listening to. You don't even know what you're listening to on that thing.
It's just outdated.
It's inconvenient.
But you know what I just told myself the other day?
What's that?
I'm about to get a beeper.
You're about to get a beeper now.
Yeah, I'm about to get a beeper.
Yo,
because 75%.
I will beep you all day long.
Because 75% of the people that call me, I don't want to talk to them.
I will beep you
So therefore,
all
I can
day
respond to beeps.
long. What about text messages? Have you heard of text messages?
I don't want those messages.
You don't want text messages?
No. I want voicemails or beeps.
You know what? You send a lot of texts. You don't answer a lot of texts. You know what I mean? Like, you send a lot of text messages. The text, I want you to know that when you get a text message, you can reply to it and exchange information.
Woosah. I've taken time in my life as an adult where there are periods in the day, hours where I'm not on my phone. I'm not going to be this person all day. I made my mind up. I'm not going to be. If I hit you back at 12 about the same thing you hit me at 9, the answer ain't going to change.
No. I know what those hours are for you when you're asleep. And when you're asleep and when power's on. That's the only time you're not looking at your phone. I know you. When we come back.
And in the bathroom.
I've got some bad news for the Pistons. Bad news. Prepare yourself. We're going to talk about
Maybe Tua can play for us.
Right after this. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen, you are very particular about what we discuss and what we don't discuss on this program. So we've made a whole segment just for you to decide. It is called Keep It Moving. If you want to discuss the topic, say hit the brakes. If not, me and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. Are you ready?
Woo,
Mr. Rose.
Tang.
Jalen, I've got some bad news for the Pistons. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Gotta hit the brakes.
Well, Blake Griffin, he's seeing some specialists, and he is. Don't forget, the Jalen and Jacoby experience does not end with the television program. Make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter, join us on Reddit, and on Instagram. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we have some very big news in the coaching ranks of the National Football League.
I'm still taking my Mike McCarthy victory laps.
Okay, well, some tells me you didn't pick this one. The Giants have a new head coach, gentleman by the name of Joe Judge, who was the wide receivers coach for the Patriots and previously before that was involved with the Patriots special teams. Jalen, your reaction to this hire of Joe Judge?
What this sounds like to me is you get on the phone with Josh McDaniels and you realize when he's sitting in the office, he's been a head coach before. He's gone through this process. He's a seasoned vet. He tells you all of the things that he will and will not stand for. And then he tells you how much it's going to cost. And then you're like, you know what? We're going to get the man next to the man.
We'll get some Josh McDaniels light. Because Joe Judge was actually one of the coaches that committed to going to the Colts with McDaniels, but then turned around and went back to the New England Patriots. But one thing that just comes to mind here is, Jalen, what was the strength of the Patriots offense, the wide receiver play?
No.
Was that the strength of the Patriots? Now, a lot of that has to do with the talent at the position, but that was one of the things that we talked about all season long were how the wide receivers were dropping the ball, not getting open, and miscommunicating.
Yes, I've been talking all year about how they should get Harry involved. He didn't get involved until late. And then I'm watching DK Metcalf, who was the 9th receiver taken in the draft, and all we saying is the Patriots don't have weapons.
They got a guy named Jacoby that can't catch.
But, however, let me say something about Mr. Judge. He's been around some winning. He's been around some greatness. At Alabama, championships 2009 and 2011. Patriots, championships 14, 16, and 2018.
Yep.
So I don't want to dismiss the rings that he has and the contributions that he's done, but it is a surprising hire. I'm telling you, as an athlete, this is why I figured the Mike McCarthy thing. I was checking all of the boxes of what I think the team may or may not want and may or may not pay, and that's how I came up with the coach. In this case, I'm telling you, they just didn't want to pay somebody a big-time deal, so they found somebody they're going to pay by the hour.
Well, also, they've got, I'm not going to sit here and act like I understand the impact that Joe Judge has had on the Patriots organization, because when you're the special teams coach and the special teams coordinator and then the wide receivers coach, you're not out in front calling plays like an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or a head coach. But here's what I do know. Got to be a great interview. Very charming. Joe Judge, he's got to be a great interview, man. This guy can really sell in the room, which is important when you're a head coach. Now, this also needs to be mentioned. There's also an offensive coordinator position for the New York Giants. And do you know who they just asked permission to interview from?
Who?
Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett Jalen.
Coach.
So you got
OC.
the wide receivers coach as the head coach, and then the head coach as the offensive coordinator potentially.
And the Cowboys offense underachieved this year also.
Sure did.
Didn't it?
Sure did.
So here's what I want to say. I know the Cleveland job is still open so far as the lone vacancy. Josh McDaniels is from Ohio.
Oh.
Eric Bieniemy worked with John Dorsey, who recently got fired as the GM in Kansas City. It'll be interesting to see if Eric Bieniemy gets a real shot for that job. Because, stop me if I'm wrong, who's the reigning MVP of the NFL?
The reigning MVP of the NFL, the gentleman that played in Kansas City, Patrick, where my home is.
Who's his offensive coordinator?
Oh, interesting. I'm following what you're dropping here.
I'm just saying, under Andy Reid, he's getting tutelage as well. I followed Bieniemy since he was a player at Colorado. He deserves a great opportunity, just like I'm seeing with these other
Well, I'm sure there will
coaches.
be some more head coach news in the NFL, but this is shocking and interesting, and I will reserve judgment on Joe Judge.
All I know is this.
I will reserve
Can I say this?
judgment.
Can
I'm
I-
going to reserve judgment.
Can I say this?
I hope.
If Jason Garrett takes the offensive coordinator job at the New York Giants, we might as well move this studio from South Seaport to their facility.
To their facility?
We might as well.
See, when you don't have that star on your helmet, it's just doesn't. It hits different. It hits different.
It's gonna.
It hits
no,
different.
no,
It hits
ain't.
different.
No, it ain't.
It hits different.
No, it ain't.
Jalen, you played in Toronto, right? So I'm sure you're familiar with the Toronto landmarks. When you first get to town, you just want to familiarize yourself. And Rondé Hollis Jefferson is a new Raptor, so he wanted to see some of the iconic landmarks of Toronto. So he went to the CN Tower.
Oh yeah.
Let's just take a look at this visit to the CN Tower here. So that's a glass floor.
No, dog.
That's a glass floor, Jalen.
Hey, dog.
That's a glass floor. Look at him.
Hey,
Look at him.
nephew. You know you my guy. Lefty. Don't play those games now. That ain't what we do now. That's a way too high. I could give you a list of people I expect to see that doing that on social media. Gardner Minshew.
Oh, wait. I know. Keep going.
I'm just saying.
Oh, keep going.
That ain't for you, dog. That ain't for you.
So it is standing on the glass floor at the CN Tower Cultural. Is that what you're trying to say?
No question.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Let me tell you what's
Is
cultural.
that what you're trying to say?
Let me tell you what's cultural. Fearing heights.
Let me tell you something. How many people have fallen to their death through that glass floor?
I ain't gonna be the first.
Answer the question. So how many people do you think have stood on that glass floor?
No.
Millions.
We're not playing this game.
Millions.
No.
You got a better chance of winning the lottery than falling through that glass floor. I'm tap dancing on that floor.
We're not playing this game.
I'm break dancing on that floor. I am break dancing on that floor. Take me to Toronto.
No.
If you take me to Toronto, I will break dance on that floor. I will handstand on that floor. I'll eat lunch right on that floor.
And I'll be the dude standing next to you like that's all on him.
That doesn't
If he go
scare
down, I ain't trying to grab his arm or hand because I
can't
told
lie.
him to get out there.
That does look scary.
No, dog.
If
That
you
ain't
had
for
to,
you, dog.
what's your number? This got to be a
Never.
number.
Nothing.
There's no number.
No.
Oh, so you just got to pay my admission and I'm on that
No.
thing. You got to pay my admission on that,
Done.
on that thing. I'm
Done.
on that thing.
He said it into a microphone. Y'all heard
Oh,
it.
but are you dancing with the Knicks?
Well, they season
Oh,
over.
we got to get on that.
Season
We'll be
over.
back tomorrow, ESPN 2 at 2. Make sure you subscribe the podcast and download it.
Crazy.
Now he would return to finish the game. Scotty, I will never be able to unsee this. I know you've had.
I've had that a few times.
Oh, gross.
Actually, it's just looks
why
ugly.
do you have to get a
He's going to
close-up?
be sore today, but during the time
Have
when
you
it happened,
one finger when that happens? Lose your lunch.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree. I think it's
Right.
that I agree with.
I mean, all the fingers are supposed to go one direction.
Why did we
I'm
do
not
that
a
at
doctor,
the top of the
but
show? It's lunchtime.
I'm just saying, welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols alongside the Collective Podcast, Mr. Brian. And the sixth-time NBA champion, Scottie Pippen. Thank you, as always.
Not afraid of pain. Not afraid of pain, Scotty.
Not afraid of pain, Scottie Pippen. But we knew that already. Coming up, Luka on 30-point triple-double last night. How dangerous does he make the Mavericks this season? Next, sort of like playing roulette. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you leave the building weeping uncontrollably. But the one thing the Wizards are not this season is boring. Sure, they rank dead last in the NBA defense, but hey, they're top 5, top 6 in offense, and number 1 in box scores. Yes, the team this season brought you that 159-158 loss to Houston. Remember that? Has been at it again this past week. Allow me to take you back to just before. Thanks to an almost comical domino of injuries, the Wizards found themselves without 5 of their 6 top players, and yet still managed to completely blow out a Jimmy Butler-led Heat team that at the time was sitting at number 2 in the East. The result was considering so embarrassing to Miami that Eric Spoelstra followed it up with a hour practice, while Washington followed it up with, limp losses.